Some things on the internet are not meant to be found. They lurk in the shadows, waiting.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back. Today, we bring you stories that might make you think twice. Houses where it's not just walls and a roof, but something else lives there. They listen, they watch, and sometimes they follow you, quietly, without a sound. If you've ever seen or heard something strange before, today's story is for you. And yes, what you are about to hear is not just a story. It's a warning. Every house has its secrets, and sometimes those secrets find their way to you. So quietly take a seat, dim the lights, and listen, because today's story is about to begin. When I was 17, I took a babysitting job in a neighborhood I didn't know well. It was one of those quiet streets where every house looks like it's waiting for something to happen. The woman who called me said she and her husband needed someone for just a few hours, nothing complicated. The house is easy to find, she said. It's the one at the end that looks empty. She wasn't kidding. The place had no lights on, no car in the driveway, not even curtains in the windows. I almost turned around, but when I rang the bell, it worked. The woman answered, pale and tired, wearing a coat even though it wasn't cold. She thanked me too many times, handed me some cash up front, and said the kids were asleep upstairs. Then she left so quickly I didn't see which direction she went. For a while, everything was fine. The house smelled like dust and something faintly sweet, like fruit that had gone bad. The clock on the wall was stuck at 2:17, but I didn't care. I just sat on the couch, scrolling my phone, trying not to think about how quiet it was. That kind of silence has a weight to it. You start hearing your own heartbeat, and every floorboard sounds like a footstep. Around midnight, I heard movement upstairs. Small feet, light but fast. I froze. Then came a laugh. Quick, breathy, and wrong. The woman had said the kids were already asleep. I called out their names, but no one answered. The sound stopped, and the silence felt thicker than before. I stood at the bottom of the staircase, debating if I should check. The air up there looked darker somehow, like the light didn't reach it properly. I took one step, then another, until I was halfway up. That's when I heard the front door creak open behind me. I turned around, expecting her to have come back early, but the doorway was empty. The wind outside had stopped. The door hung open like it had been waiting for me to notice. I ran down, slammed it shut, and locked it twice. When I turned back toward the stairs, I saw them. Footprints. Small, dusty prints leading from the top step all the way to where I was standing. Still fresh. The family told me about the room the moment I arrived. Not in a dramatic way, either. Just a casual warning, like they were explaining which cabinet held the extra towels. You can sleep anywhere, the mother said, setting my bag down. Just not the guest room at the end of the hall. She smiled when she said it, but her eyes didn't move. They'd invited me to stay for the weekend while I helped their son with college applications. Normal to me. I laughed it off at first. Everyone has a weird family rule. But later that night, when the house settled into its quiet creaks and distant plumbing sounds, curiosity got the better of me. I walked down the hallway, past the bedrooms, until I stood in front of the guest room door. It wasn't locked. It wasn't even closed all the way. Barely pulled in, like someone had left it unfinished. Inside, the room looked perfect. Clean bed, fresh sheets, a lamp already turned on. It felt warmer than the rest of the house, like it had been waiting for me. I told myself fear was just imagination wearing a mask, and I went to sleep there. I woke up to whispering. Not voices exactly, more like breathing shaped into words. The kind you hear when someone stands too close behind you. I couldn't move at first. My body felt pressed into the mattress by something heavier than sleep. The air smelled different now, thick and metallic, like rain about to fall indoors. When I finally sat up, the room looked wrong. The walls seemed farther apart. The ceiling felt higher. I checked my phone and realized 3 hours had passed without me remembering anything in between. The next morning, the family didn't look surprised when they saw my face. The father just nodded and said, "That's why no one stays in there twice." I asked what happened to the others. He said most of them left town. A few stopped answering messages. And one of them, years ago, claimed the room led somewhere else. I didn't understand what he meant then. I do now, because later, while reading another story in this collection, I saw that same room described in a house hundreds of miles away. And I realized some doors don't stay in one place. They used to joke about how lucky they were. A young couple, barely married a year, suddenly owning a house they could actually afford. It sat at the edge of a quiet block, paint peeling just enough to look charming, not enough to look dangerous. Everyone said the same thing. Too good to be true. But when you are tired of apartments and thin walls and neighbors who never sleep, you stop asking why and start signing papers. The first week felt like a dream. They cooked together. They argued playfully over where to hang pictures. They fell asleep on the living room floor because the bed had not arrived yet. For a while, the house was just a house. Then the sound started. At night, when the lights were off and the street outside went quiet, the walls would creak in long, slow rhythms. Not the sharp pops of old wood settling, but deep, measured sounds, like someone breathing just behind the plaster. At first they laughed about it. Old houses make noise. That is what everyone says until the noises start answering back. The first real fight happened over nothing. A forgotten errand. A Carell's comment. Words sharper than they meant to be. As their voices rose, the sound in the walls changed. The slow breathing turned into something faster, uneven, almost excited. When they stopped arguing, the house went silent too. After that, they noticed the pattern. Every argument brought noise. Every harsh word made the floors groan, the ceiling whisper. When they cried quietly in separate rooms, the house stayed still, as if listening. It felt less like they lived inside it, and more like they were being studied by it. The romance faded in small, invisible ways. They stopped eating together. They stopped touching unless they had to. The house seemed to know exactly when they were at their weakest. On those nights, the walls would creak so loudly they could not hear their own thoughts. One evening, after a fight that left them both shaking, they found something new in the hallway. A thin crack running from floor to ceiling, like a scar that had just opened. The next morning, it was gone. They moved out 3 months later. Told everyone the same story. Bad memories. Bad timing. Bad luck. But the truth was simpler and worse. They bought that house cheap because it did not want a family. It wanted a fracture. And it knew exactly how to make one. It always does. I noticed the windows first. That sounds strange, but when you live across from someone long enough, you learn their house the way you learn a face. You know where every light turns on, every shadow falls. So when my neighbor's windows started showing things they shouldn't, I knew it wasn't my imagination. From my kitchen, I could see straight into his living room. Or at least I used to. One night, while washing dishes, I glanced up and saw a narrow hallway instead. Long, dim, lined with doors that didn't exist in his house. I blinked, rubbed my eyes, looked again. The hallway was still there, stretching back farther than the walls should allow. The next day, in the sunlight, everything looked normal again. Living room, couch, television, nothing strange. I told myself it had been a trick of the light, or maybe exhaustion playing games with me. That explanation worked until it happened again. Over the next few weeks, the windows kept changing. Sometimes I saw a staircase going down, even though his house had no basement. Sometimes a child's bedroom with toys that never moved. Once, I swear I saw my own front door, viewed from the inside, like the window had turned into a mirror of somewhere else. I finally worked up the courage to talk to him about it. He listened quietly, nodding in all the wrong places. When I finished, he said, "They don't all show the same rooms. You're lucky you only see the quiet ones." That was when I realized he had seen them too. He told me his house used to belong to a man who studied places where the world felt thin, where rooms slipped out of alignment and doors learned new destinations. He said some houses keep those habits, even after the people are gone. "There are rules," he said before closing his door. "They all follow the same ones. We just don't know them yet." I stayed up late after that, watching his windows like someone waits for a signal that never comes. Every shadow felt like a message, every reflection like a warning I did not yet understand. I started avoiding my own windows, afraid of what might start looking back. That night, I stood at my window and watched his. For a moment, I saw nothing at all. Then a door appeared where no wall should be, that I shouldn't have gone inside. I knew it from the moment I climbed over the broken fence, the one with the rusted spikes and the "no trespassing" sign flapping in the wind. The house had been abandoned for decades, or so everyone in town said. Windows boarded up, paint peeling, a garden that looked like it had swallowed itself whole. But I was 17 and curious, and curiosity has a way of ignoring warnings. The front door groaned like a dying animal when I pushed it open. Dust filled the air, and the smell of old wood mixed with something faintly metallic made me cough. I thought I'd just take a quick look, maybe snap a few pictures for my phone. That was the plan. The first room was empty. Plain. Normal. But when I turned the corner to check the hallway, it wasn't the same. The stairs were in a different place, the hallway longer, the shadows twisting as if they had been waiting for me. I laughed nervously, convinced I'd just misremembered the layout. Every room I entered changed. Cabinets appeared where there hadn't been any. Mirrors reflected spaces I hadn't walked into yet. Each floorboard I stepped on creaked a rhythm that felt like it was counting, marking my presence. The house wasn't just abandoned. It was alive, and it remembered. I tried to leave. I really did. But the doors I had come in through led to walls. Windows opened to blank skies I didn't recognize. Every attempt to retrace my steps only brought me to rooms I hadn't seen before, hallways I hadn't walked down. And the whispers started. Soft at first, a kind of static hum, then clearer. My name. My nickname. Words I'd only said aloud in private. Panic set in. I ran through room after room, hoping to find the exit, hoping to find a window I could climb out of. But the house was patient. It didn't chase. It didn't scream. It just moved, waiting for me to tire, waiting for me to notice what it had done. Finally, exhausted, I stumbled into a small room at the back. The walls were bare except for one spot, where something had been scratched into the plaster. My blood ran cold when I read it. My name.it wasn't written in any handwriting I recognized, but I knew it. The house had remembered me to be why the time I reached these 5 stories, something had started to make sense, and yet nothing made sense at all. Began noticing patterns I couldn't ignore. Houses in different towns, on different streets, yet the layouts were eerily similar. A staircase here, a long narrow hallway there. Cold spots in the same corners. Rooms that felt familiar, even though I had never been inside. I started dreaming about them. Not nightmares exactly, but visions of spaces that didn't exist in my own life. Hallways turning into staircases, doors opening to rooms that shouldn't be possible. I would wake up with my heart racing, the floor beneath me shaking as if the dream hadn't ended when I opened my eyes. It's hard to explain without sounding insane. These houses, the ones people think are isolated incidents, they're not. They share rules. They respond the same way to curiosity, to fear, to anger. And the more stories I read, the more I could see it, like a map emerging from chaos. I don't know who started noticing it first, or if it was always meant to be seen this way. But by story 9, you'll understand what I mean. That's the story where the connection becomes undeniable. And when you get there, pay attention. Really pay attention. For now, all I can do is warn you. Once you start seeing the patterns, you start seeing them everywhere. Every creak, every shadow, every door, it might not belong to your house at all. And with that thought in mind, let's move on to the next story. Paranoia isn't just a feeling anymore. It's a warning. I arrived at the rental thinking I'd found a steal. Cheap, clean, cozy, according to the listing, which was already suspicious coming from a landlord whose profile photo looked like it had been stolen from a stock website. The kind of person who answers texts in vague sentences and charges you extra for using too many towels. Standard nightmare landlord energy. What wasn't standard was the number of locks inside the house. Every door had one, sometimes two. Even the closet in the hall sported a tiny latch I had to jostle to open. I laughed the first night, imagine. Some paranoid hermit obsessed with safety. Better than the last place I stayed, I muttered, where the door didn't even lock at all. By the second night, the humor faded. Each lock seemed purposeful. The door to the basement rattled like something was behind it. The lock on the guest bedroom resisted my turn, humming faintly like it didn't want me inside. Even the pantry had a latch I hadn't noticed before, and when I opened it, I could swear I heard breathing that didn't belong to me. By midnight, I stopped laughing altogether. Each lock marked a boundary, a rule I didn't understand. Open one door too long, and the house responded. Floors creaked in uneven rhythms. The air grew thick, metallic, heavy. I tried sleeping in the living room, but the walls groaned and whispered as if reminding me I was still in their space, still under their watch. I started testing the doors cautiously, opening one a few inches and closing it quickly. One lock in particular resisted everything. I finally forced it open, and the room inside was bare, except for scratch marks running up the walls and jagged lines. The air smelled of something wet, something rotting, and I swore I heard a child's voice whisper my name. By morning, I left the door closed. All the other locks seemed to relax, almost smug, like the house was satisfied I had learned my lesson. I never saw the landlord again, but I know he knew. Either he built the house this way intentionally, or the house learned from him. Either way, it had rules, and every lock meant something that I didn't break any more of them. And when I left, I made sure to lock every door behind me. Not that I thought it would matter. Some things inside don't need a key to follow you that I thought returning to my childhood home would feel comforting. Familiar. Safe. Nostalgic. I hadn't seen back in over 10 years, and I imagined it just as it had been. The creaky porch, the hallway lined with family photos, the kitchen, where my mother's laughter used to echo. I expected memories, warm and predictable. I didn't expect them to lie. The first night, everything seemed normal. I walked the halls slowly, touching the wallpaper, remembering the way the light hit the windows in the morning. But small things started to feel off. The staircase curved differently than I remembered. The bedroom I grew up in was smaller, the closet narrower. Pictures hung where they never had, and the ones that should be there were gone. By the second day, I began questioning my own mind. I found objects that I didn't recognize, items I would have sworn had never existed. A music box, a key, a notebook filled with names I didn't know. Every time I revisited a room, the details shifted. My memories of it weren't wrong. They had been rewritten. The house remembered me differently than I remembered it. I asked my mother when she came to check on me, and she smiled sadly. "It's always been like that," she said. "I think that's why we moved. Sometimes you need to forget the wrong things." Her tone was gentle, but there was an edge, like she had seen too much, and some of it couldn't be explained. The nights were the worst. I dreamt of the house twisting, stretching beyond the walls, hallways looping impossibly, stairs leading to nowhere. I would wake up, certain I had seen a door that didn't exist in reality, only to find it gone the next morning. By the time I left, I couldn't trust my own mind. My childhood felt like someone else's story. My memories had become uncertain, unreliable, shifting with each visit. And the house. It seemed satisfied that it wasn't just nostalgia anymore. The warmth of home had turned into something that could manipulate, trap, and rewrite me. I realized too late that some places don't want you to remember who you were. They want to make you someone else entirely. And somewhere deep in the back of my mind, I knew that even miles away, the house was still watching, still adjusting, still wait. Closer than you think. I sit here, recording everything, because if I am to survive, someone has to know the truth. Someone has to see the patterns before it's too late. But even as I speak, I hear it. Not outside, not in another room. Here, a floorboard shifts behind me. The air grows colder. And somewhere in the darkness of my own living room, I hear the softest, faintest sound. A door opening that I did not touch. If you've made it this far, you already know the rules. Keep the lights on. Notice the corners. Listen closely to the floors. These aren't just stories. They are patterns, glimpses, warnings, and sometimes invitations. I'll continue collecting them and maybe sharing them. Maybe the next story will be yours. If you've ever felt watched in a place you thought was safe, if you've heard a whisper that didn't belong, I want to hear about it. Leave a comment. Send a message. The more we observe, the more we understand, but the more they notice too. Some houses are patient. Some houses are clever. Some remember everything about the people who enter. And if you've listened to all 13 stories, you already know what that means. They're still out there, waiting, adjusting, learning. If nothing strange happens tonight, don't worry. These houses are patient. But keep your doors locked. Keep your windows closed. And maybe, just maybe, leave a light on. Now, as you return to your own world, remember this. Not every house is quiet. Some are watching. Some are listening. And some quietly remember every step you take. If nothing strange happens tonight, don't be alarmed. This house is patient, but keep in mind sometimes it chooses its own story. And maybe the next terrifying secret will find its way to your home. So keep the lights on, stay listening, and remember, this story isn't over. It's only just begun.